Before anything else, do this now. Subscribe to this channel. This isn't optional. The truths behind progress are hidden, silenced, and often uncomfortable. By subscribing, you ensure you won't miss the insights they don't want you to know. Progress is a word everyone celebrates, yet few truly understand. Its promise feels liberating, but the reality is often a carefully constructed illusion, designed to disguise the cost paid by those it claims to benefit. The first deception lies in definition. What we call progress is rarely neutral. It is framed to favor the powerful. Achievements are celebrated when they consolidate control, not when they distribute freedom or opportunity. Ask yourself, has progress really made life better for everyone, or just more convenient for those in power? Technology is the most obvious example. We are told innovation is inherently good, yet every invention also becomes a tool of surveillance, profit extraction, or social manipulation. The marvels of progress carry invisible chains. Markets are framed as engines of prosperity, yet they often concentrate wealth while dispersing the risks onto the powerless. Economic growth is praised, but who truly gains and who silently bears the cost? Education is presented as advancement, but it often trains compliance, not independence. Systems of learning reward memorization and obedience, not critical thinking. Progress here is control disguised as opportunity. Have you ever considered that the institutions meant to educate you might also be teaching you to obey? Infrastructure is lauded as progress: roads, bridges, skyscrapers. Yet these structures often entrench inequality. The same systems that appear to connect us can isolate the vulnerable, directing resources away from those in need. Medical breakthroughs are another double-edged sword. Treatments advance, but access is controlled. Illness may be conquered for some, yet the system profits from perpetual dependency for others. Progress is selective. Cultural narratives amplify certain successes and hide others. Heroes are celebrated when they align with the dominant agenda, while stories of resistance, inequality, or exploitation are quietly marginalized. Ask yourself, how many stories of real progress have you never heard because they challenged the system? Legal systems evolve under the guise of reform, yet often preserve the same structures of power. Laws change, language shifts, but outcomes frequently protect those who already hold influence. Even environmental progress is complicated. Technological solutions are praised, yet the underlying extractive systems that created the problem are left untouched. Real progress threatens the profits that sustain the status quo. Progress is often equated with speed. Faster innovation, faster production, faster consumption, but at what cost? Mental health, social cohesion, and ecological stability are sacrificed while the illusion of advancement dazzles the eye. Who decides what counts as progress? Those who benefit from it. And those who question the definition risk being labeled backward, naive, or resistant to change. Censorship plays a subtle role. Critiques of progress are dismissed as pessimism or conspiracy. Silence is reinforced, while only the sanctioned narratives of advancement dominate public discourse. Have you noticed that most debates about progress are framed as binary, for or against, rather than questioning who truly benefits? Social media amplifies a curated version of progress. Every viral innovation, success story, or breakthrough is pre-selected to reinforce hope and compliance while obscuring failures, exploitation, or alternative approaches. Consumerism is sold as a marker of advancement. We are told to upgrade constantly, to chase newer, better, faster, yet the very act of consumption often deepens dependency and restricts autonomy. Progress is weaponized psychologically. We are made to feel inadequate if we don't adopt the latest trends, technologies, or lifestyles. Compliance becomes internalized as aspiration, not coercion. Economic crises are reframed as steps toward progress. The suffering of many is justified as necessary for the advancement of some. structural inequality becomes temporary inconvenience, masking systemic exploitation. Ask yourself, how many times has your discomfort or loss been labeled as necessary for the greater good? Urbanization is celebrated as modernization, yet displacement, alienation, and homogenization often accompany it. Progress builds new structures while erasing old communities, memories, and social fabrics. Even science is not neutral. Research agendas, funding, and publication priorities are designed to benefit dominant powers. What is studied, amplified, or applied is filtered through profit and influence. Cultural adaptation is another silent mechanism. Narratives are shifted subtly over decades to normalize inequality, consumption, and obedience, all under the guise of inevitable progress. Ask yourself, when was the last time you questioned whether a popular innovation actually served humanity, or just the powerful? Public policy celebrates technological and economic advancement, but rarely addresses systemic injustice. Policies create winners and losers, and progress is measured by the success of the former. Resistance is packaged as nostalgia or backwardness. Any critique of progress is dismissed as old-fashioned, ignoring that questioning the dominant narrative is essential for understanding its consequences. The pace of change creates distraction. With so many updates, launches, and announcements, public attention is fragmented. Complexity overwhelms reflection, and silent control thrives behind the spectacle of constant innovation. Even language conceals control. Words like efficiency, optimization, and advancement frame progress as inherently positive, disarming critical thought before it can even begin. Ask yourself, what narratives have been excluded from the story of progress, and why do you think they remain hidden? The system celebrates incremental change while hiding systemic consequences. Small wins distract from structural flaws, making the overall framework appear inevitable and unchallengeable. And finally, remember, subscribing to this channel ensures you won't be left behind. Click subscribe now to continue uncovering the hidden realities of the world they call progress, because the truths you need to see are never broadcast on mainstream channels. Progress is rarely a straight line. Its path is riddled with compromises, sacrifices, and hidden agendas. What appears as advancement often masks new forms of control and inequality. The system thrives on your awe. When you admire progress, you stop questioning who benefits, who suffers, and who remains invisible. The celebration itself becomes a veil. Ask yourself, have you ever felt excitement about a breakthrough, only to ignore the cost it imposed on others? Technology is double-edged. Every tool that promises freedom also carries potential for surveillance, influence, and extraction. The convenience you enjoy may quietly reinforce the structures that limit you. Markets are framed as engines of collective prosperity, yet inequality often grows alongside them. Wealth concentrates at the top while those at the bottom shoulder the invisible costs of progress. Education promises empowerment, but it frequently trains conformity. Critical thinking is tolerated only when it doesn't threaten the comfort of the powerful. Real curiosity becomes inconvenient. Have you noticed that questioning the status quo often brands you as resistant or irrational, rather than insightful? Infrastructure is celebrated, yet every bridge, road, and network benefits some while displacing or marginalizing others. Physical progress can simultaneously enforce social stagnation. Medical advancement highlights the paradox. Life-saving treatments exist, yet access is stratified. Progress is measured in aggregate numbers, not in individual lives uplifted or neglected. Social narratives filter perception. Heroes are celebrated for accomplishments that reinforce the system, while the inconvenient truths of oppression, extraction, or failure remain unseen. Ask yourself, how many success stories were told to distract you from the failures they concealed? Legal reforms and policy changes often look like progress, but they rarely threaten the power structures that dictate outcomes. Incremental change becomes a pacifier. not liberation. The pace of innovation accelerates distraction. As news cycles shorten and updates arrive constantly, scrutiny diminishes. Critical reflection is replaced with superficial fascination. Consumer culture redefines satisfaction as compliance. Continuous upgrades, trends, and products train you to equate consumption with achievement, subtly silencing alternative desires or dissent. Technology shapes perception before understanding. Algorithms curate your world, emphasizing some voices while burying others, turning the narrative of progress into a filtered illusion. Ask yourself, are you following trends because you want to, or because the system nudged you there? Cultural adaptation enforces compliance. Generational shifts normalize inequality, consumption, and obedience under the guise of inevitability. Questioning the dominant narrative feels unnatural. Even resistance is commodified. Activism becomes a trend, dissent becomes a spectacle, and outrage becomes a marketable emotion. Control survives even in apparent rebellion. Surveillance and monitoring silence before words are spoken. Awareness of observation changes behavior, and the freedom to speak without restraint slowly diminishes under subtle pressure. Have you ever held back a truth simply because you knew someone might be watching? Progress often celebrates incremental wins while masking systemic flaws. Small victories pacify critique and create the illusion of continuous improvement. Meanwhile, structural inequities deepen quietly. Media framing dictates which progress stories are amplified. Only narratives aligned with power are highlighted, shaping perception and silencing critique before it reaches mass attention. Education, culture, and media converge to form a disciplined obedience. Each institution reinforces the illusion that progress is universally positive, discouraging scrutiny of those it disadvantages. Ask yourself, what progress stories have been deliberately omitted, and who decided they were too dangerous to tell? Economic growth narratives mask extraction. Success is celebrated at the top, while the costs are passed down to the environment, communities, and future generations. Profits thrive, consequences remain invisible. Cultural language disguises control. Words like innovation, optimization, and advancement make you feel safe, patriotic, or virtuous, discouraging critical thought before it can emerge. Urbanization, technological expansion, and globalization often advance comfort for some while creating vulnerability for others. Progress isn't neutral, it's directional. Have you ever questioned who benefits from urban and technological improvements and who is left behind? Public policy is framed as progress, but it selectively serves. Structural advantages remain untouched while the public celebrates minor, visible changes as proof of improvement. The illusion of meritocracy reinforces silence. Success is celebrated, failure is blamed on personal inadequacy, and questioning the system is delegitimized before it gains traction. Environmental solutions highlight the paradox of selective progress. Technological fixes are praised while the systems creating ecological damage remain intact. Change is cosmetic, not foundational. Ask yourself, is the world really improving, or are we just being dazzled by the illusion of progress? The cost of awareness is vigilance. To see behind the word progress is to confront inconvenient truths. Ignorance is comfortable, understanding is uncomfortable, and action is required. Resistance begins with recognition. Naming the hidden mechanisms, questioning narratives, and sharing insights fractures the spell of progress that silences. Awareness itself is subversive. And finally, subscribe to this channel right now. The realities hidden behind the word progress are ignored by most, dismissed by many, and silenced by those in power. Staying connected ensures you will continue to uncover the truths they never want you to see.